I've been thinking about role swapping for a really long time, so it's good that Riot just kind of like let it happen in the game naturally, so I don't have to ruin my career by swapping to AD carry or something.
Well, it's the second day of Summer Split. I'm joined right now by Dardoch with coverage presented by Omni Slash. Talk a little bit about Echo Fox's second game. Now, Dardoch, talk me through the final moments of that game, the epic conclusion against Clutch. What was going on in comms? What was going on? How did it all go down?
Actually, I think we were talking about using banner minions bottom because me and Huni just bought Banner of Command in the game, and we were talking about using our. We were just talking about how we were going to siege the turrets because we already had one inhib down, and we were waiting for Baron and Elder spawn. And then after, like, while something happened while Huni was using Talia ulti, and then we all DC'd from the game. And then, however, 30, 40 minutes later, we just got told to go off stage because we won.
Yeah. So, obviously starting off with just the joke here, but it is a very interesting situation. I can't remember. I've heard that this has happened in EU LCS with Giants. I'm trying to remember if this has happened in NA LCS before. Might be slipping my mind, but it's just kind of weird knowing Nexus explodes and then there's a win granted. Did you guys expect this, or sort of what was going on in those comms? Because obviously you were talking for like 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, from as far as what they could tell us, and like obviously I have some assumption in it, we hit like an attempting to reconnect thing. It wasn't a pause. It was just a straight up like everybody legitimately DC'd from the game. And when that happens, and it is spectators included, there's no pause of the game, and the game just plays on. So I'm pretty sure what happened is the game just played on in the background with all 10 players disconnected, and then because we had an inhibitor done top, those super minions just ended the game. Yeah. So there was no when they finally were able to reconnect, there was no game left because the game had ended from minions after like maybe like 10 minutes, and then when there's no chrono break because we were, I mean. It was obviously winnable for them, but we were 10k gold up, 7 turrets to 0, and 4 dragons to 0. So it was like we were in a pretty advantageous position. Yeah. So yeah, you know, the rules are the rules, and it does suck. If it was up to us, we'd obviously chrono break, but given that that was probably not an option, obviously, or I think they confirmed that it was not an option for sure. So yeah, given that there was no chrono break option, somebody's going to be upset, but obviously I'm the one that was 10k gold up, so obviously I'm going to say that it's fair that I won, but obviously a really controversial thing that happened, but at the end of the day, it is just one game of regular season. So
you agree with the decision to award it to you guys rather than remake?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree with it. It is in the rules. If we are, 10k gold is a lot of money, even though it is like winnable. I would say that it is like a small fraction. I think it is pretty. I don't want to say no. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, for sure.
Did you have a chance to talk to any of the Clutch guys afterwards?
Not really, like a conversation, but, you know, we shook hands and I said sorry, like, wish it could be different, but, you know, just it is what it is. Yeah. Everybody just kind of had, like, that it is what it is mentality about it because both sides know that there's nothing that the players can do about it. Yeah. It wasn't because of anything we did. It was just an unlucky thing that happened, and somebody's got to be upset about it because we couldn't just chrono break the game.
Sure. Let's take a step aside from the end of that game and talk a little bit about how things have been going with Echo Fox. You guys, I think, boot camped in Korea during the break, right?
Some of us did, yeah. I went for a few days, but it wasn't like a scrimming kind of thing. It was more like a solo queue, and then we had a couple scrims at the end. But it was like a more laid back kind of setting, so it wasn't like a hardcore boot camp. So I like went for a few days, played some solo queue, came back. And then, yeah, everybody else just kind of showed up. And then I think like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before LCS started, we grouped up in our office and started scrimming together.
How are things going with the team? Because you guys had a really explosive split over the course of spring and then just faltered slightly at the end there. So what have you guys been doing during the break to sort of shore up the issues that you had before? And, you know, how do you feel about the team overall at the moment?
I guess our biggest fault was just the adaptation in terms of like when the meta shifted mid-split. So I guess our main focus right now is just understanding the current meta that we're in. So you see we're doing a bunch of like way more random stuff than other teams are, swapping roles and that kind of stuff. So that is just we think that's how the game is. We think that is how the game is supposed to be played at the highest level. Like we think that if you play that well enough that you're not going to be able to beat it. So until, you know, we get proven otherwise or that we have a different opinion or a patch comes, this is like what you should expect of Echo Fox. I don't want to say like we're going to be on different roles every game, but you know, it's going to be pretty interesting whenever we're in select for sure. So as far as like what we need to do to like make sure that last split doesn't happen, I think it's just being on top of patches and also being ahead of the curve. So not just thinking about what's good on this patch, but also theory crafting what's good on next patch. So things like that will help us for sure.
How do these role swaps come about? Is it something that the coaches are deciding? Because I think a lot of people just assume Huni's like, no, I'm playing support this game, or no, I'm the mid laner or something, you know?
Well, it really just comes down to what champions we think are strongest. So at first we were trying, you know, like Johnny on Yasuo or Phoenix on Yasuo or, you know, Huni on just a normal tank, that kind of stuff. We were trying everybody with everything. And then after a certain point, it was like we didn't have enough time in terms of like how to actually adapt to the patch, and we didn't have enough time to get individual practice on everyone. So we just entertained the idea of like, if we have Yasuo and he has to go bottom because there are like some counter picks. So like if we pick Yasuo in first and they go Renekton, then you know, Yasuo can win versus Renekton in the bottom lane when supports are involved, but he can't win the 1v1. So in cases like that, we would have to put Johnny on Yasuo, and there's obviously a big discrepancy between Huni and Johnny on the champion. So we just entertain the idea of like, what if we just put Johnny on Mundo, who he really likes playing, or another tank, and then put Huni on the Yasuo. Yeah. And then when we scrimmed with it, it did really well. So we figured it would just be the best thing to do.
How long until you guys bust out Heimerdinger? That's a fair response. I mean, I bring that up somewhat as a joke because we're seeing so many weird things in Europe and across the regions, and I feel like I was just talking to Emily about this up in the press room. Like, it feels like every region has their own like weird stuff that they're popping out. We're seeing a lot of Vlad over here, and I don't know. It's sort of interesting to see how this is all going.
I think we're truly just in a meta where personal experience and preference are more important than team compositions and things of that nature. Just in general, where you know, like our game against Fly yesterday, they got out-comped, in my opinion, and, you know, we got to, like, a certain point in the game where they couldn't really kill us anymore, and it was obvious that they didn't have enough damage in their comp and that our characters were just too tanky and too strong. So I think in some cases you can get out-drafted and you can be in situations where you're going to lose to scaling and composition, but I think in most cases it is just up to, like, a lot of these champions like Aurelia, Yasuo, stuff like that. It's just extremely skill reliant, and if you're good enough at the champion, you can pretty much win any matchup. So it's really just up, in my opinion, up to the individual skill of the players and how deep you can go into your champion pool.
Very good. Do you like this meta? If you had the ability right now to turn it back to, like, look, people just play what their role is and that's what they do and everything's fine, or stick around in this world where you've got, like, the ability for, you know, who need to end up in bot lane and all this kind of stuff, would you stick with the current meta, or would you shift?
Well, I have a lot of faith in my teammates' skill, so I don't really have a meta preference, but I do think that this meta is really good for us, so I would say that I would prefer to come this way. But also, I'm good enough to play multiple roles, and I don't want to be stuck on just jungle, so I've been thinking about role swapping for a really long time, so it's good that Riot just kind of like let it happen in the game naturally, so I don't have to ruin my career by swapping to AD carry or something.
Yeah. Because once you do those role swaps, oftentimes there's no coming back from that. It's exciting to see. I mean, I think it's fun to see everybody playing different stuff, and I hope what you guys are doing encourages even more teams to do that kind of stuff. Other than that, anything that you would say to any of the fans out there?
Thanks for supporting Echo Fox. Thanks for supporting me, and hopefully we can give you guys more 2-0 weekends.
Very good. Thank you so much, Dardoch, for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. This is Nephiloid. She's the woman that does all the emotes for my Twitch channel, and she says she only does it for people who are actually very popular. So if you don't sub to my channel and watch my videos, she said that she's never going to do any more emotes for my Twitch channel. See, look, she's already leaving because I'm becoming less popular. She's looking for popular people to do emotes for her. Thanks so much to OmniSlash, but please subscribe and go follow my Twitch channel, which I also put in the description. She's gone.